Hello, time for what I hope to be a short video for once. So in front of me are two knives from Spyderco Knives. They're both collaboration pieces with knife maker Peter Rosenti out of Canada. So there's Dr. Frunky has a very nice video comparing the new Paysan with a custom Rosenti, but I haven't seen any videos comparing the Paysan with the older Nirvana. So the Spyderco Nirvana is a out of the Spyderco's Taichung, Taiwan factory in CPM S90V. Both knives are integrals, meaning that the body of the knife is machined out of a single piece of titanium, and the blade and bearings, everything is fit inside nicely. So the Paysan is the same deal. It's the Taichung, Taiwan factory in CPM S90V. So both of these knives are collaborations with knife maker Peter Rosenti. The Nirvana was, for a while, the most expensive folder in Spyderco's knife stable, but people also had a few issues with that. All the issues people had with the Nirvana, they tried to address in the Paysan. So we're going to go front to back talking about changes, differences, and any sort of improvements, and then I'll go into what I do and don't like about the knives. So the first difference is it's the same pocket clip, but they just color matched it. This is going to be your stonewash. This is going to be more of a polished clip. If you turn it to the side though, this is the first change you're going to see. The Spyderco Nirvana has a very nice machined tail on the handle. And then on the Paysan, they did the same thing, and then they ruined it by, it looks like they drill pressed, or however they did it, they put a lanyard hole in there. I'm not convinced that it's a very effective or good lanyard hole. It's very close to the tip of the blade, and I'm worried that if you have a nice thick paracord lanyard and it's swinging in there, you're just going to end up cutting your lanyard cord on the blade stock. So that's the first change between the two knives. That's a bit minor. For me, I would have preferred not having the lanyard hole, but it is what it is. The next change, moving back to front, is going to be the lock bar. So the Nirvana has a pure titanium lock bar, and there's no over travel pin or stop of any sort. So in theory, you could hyperextend the lock bar, unlocking the knife, and these knives did have quite a bit of lock stick coming out of the pouches. They don't come in the standard Spyderco box. They come in a little carry case. And my knife broke in fine. It's not a problem. I got this from one of the peers in my knife trading group. So it's already had a previous owner, but it did need a little bit of break-in for it to go away. The same was true with my Spyderco Subvert. So this is the same thing, where it's a very thick titanium against the blade stock. And this guy also had issues with break-in and wear. He broke in. He's extremely smooth after the month of carry I had with him. But the Nirvana had a bit of lock stick, and it's also broken in fantastically. So what Spyderco did to address that on the Paysan though is the knife should run perfectly out of the box. So what they did was they put a steel lock bar interface, and it's nicely chamfered, so it's just not a raw corner. And they also changed it so that it is going to be a bit of a Y shape, so you can see in between the gap there. That makes that the lock bar interface is going to make a steel on steel interface, so you don't have any lock stick at all out of the box, and it also acts as an over travel stop. So that's fantastic. Great job. So that is a nice improvement. Out of the box, the knife runs as it should. So continue going back to front. The pivot, they just put a more artisanal pivot on there. Take it or leave it, it is what it is. And the bearings are using the new bearings that are in the Spyderco Drunken and Subvert. So my Subvert has a month of carry on it, and I've taken it apart, cleaned it, lubed it with KPL. The knife is quite a bit nicer for action than my Paysan, but I haven't really carried my Paysan very much. I don't think that the action really is where it should be for the price point, but with some fiddling, you can probably tune it to where you want it to be. So that's the bearings on the pivot. The next thing is that the Spyderco Nirvana didn't have a detent ball ramp. The detent ball is kind of starting to wear one on this guy, but the Nirvana didn't have one. Paysan, they put in an attempt at a ramp, and it looks pretty good, but it actually doesn't work. So if I just get it so that the blade is going to sit on top of the ball bearing. I'm holding it here. It just kind of bounces on top. It doesn't have that drop shut action. You have to get it over the ball bearing and then you get the drop shut action. So that's the same issue that I had with the Spyderco subvert. For the price, they really should learn how to make a detent ramp. Same thing, once you overcome the ball bearing, it's a drop shut action. This is a Norseman by comparison. If you look at the ramp, where is it? So just opening it up. So if you look at the ramp, it starts way back there and it just continues in this gradual incline until right about there. The result is that they have a longer, more gradual ramp that the knife is just drop shut smooth all the time. I don't have to overcome the ball bearing. So while there's an attempt made on the Paysan for an improvement, they still didn't do it right. The detent ramp is not there, and for both knives, people have complained that they have weak detent, meaning if I hold the knife, I can shake the blade out for both the Nirvana and the Paysan. So they both have it, and the same with the what's it called? The subvert. So the detents are a little bit weaker. It's not a danger. It's not going to open up in your pocket, but these knives can fail shake tests where that's a thing, where you can't have like a centrifugal opening or shake, gravity knife kind of thing. So that is a thing like the Paysan will fail. It's an easy mod. You can just drill the detent hole a little bit bigger, but it is something you have to take into account, that they did make an attempt, but they didn't fix it on the detent on the Paysan. So that's the differences front to back for the both knives, the things that they tried to improve, the things that they did do. I'm not a fan. I still, owning both of them, carrying both of them, I prefer the older Nirvana to the Paysan. I don't have a problem with the lock stick, and I just like the ergonomics a little bit more. But they're both fantastic knives in terms of machining. The Paysan does miss the mark on the detent ramp. Good attempt, didn't work. And then the detent is not set properly if I can shake it out, and that'll be a problem in some areas where law enforcement or import will actually check to make sure you can't open it with gravity. So close misses the mark. I'd rather go for, if you can find an old stock or a user Nirvana, I think you get a bit better bang for the buck on the Nirvana. Last thing I'm going to do is just, if you're still with me, a couple of size comparisons. So this is a Spyderco Delica. You can see that these are both full-size knives. Compared to that guy. And the subvert. So you can see the subvert and the Nirvana are basically the same. They're both very large. The Paysan is a little bit smaller, and the Paysan also has, when you deploy it, it's a very thin, minimalistic grip. I really like that kind of grip on the Hungarian, but I think this is a little bit too much. And the Nirvana, for me, again, this is all very subjective at this part. I do feel that the Nirvana is a little bit better in the hand. So it's opening the knives up now for the size comparison part. So that's the subvert, Nirvana, Paysan. Here is the Delica opened up. And the last one is going to be our little Victorinox, just for size reference. So these are full-size knives. So that's it. I tried to keep it under 9 minutes. So have a good day. Hopefully this was useful. Otherwise, tell me and we'll go from there. Thanks. Bye.